فاشرب الصافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم ألهمنا علما نفقه به أوامرك ونواهيك وارزقنا فهما نعرف به كيف نناجيك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك فهم النبيين وحفظ المرسلين وإلهام الملائكة المقربين في عافية يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك فهم النبيين وحفظ المرسلين وإلهام الملائكة المقربين في عافية يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أغننا بالعلم وزينا بالحلم وأكرمنا بالتقوى وجملنا بالعافية يا أرحم الراحمين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم إنا نستودعك ما قرأناه وما نقرأه في هذا المجلس وما قبله وبعده فاحفظه علينا حتى ترده إلينا وقت احتياجنا إليه يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أكرمنا بنور الفهم وأخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وافتح لنا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا حكمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم يا من مقاليد الأمور كلها بيده وإليه يرجع الأمر كله يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم افتح علينا فتحا قريبا. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي وسدد لساني واهدي قلبي وافعل كذلك بأحبابي أبدا وارزقنا كمال فتوح العارفين والفقه في الدين مع كمال الإخلاص والصدق واليقين والعافية والغنى والنصر والحفظ والنفع والانتفاع وخيرات الدارين وعلوم الأولين والآخرين. آمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. الحمد لله. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. I think we're still at the Mubtilatus Salah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let's read from the book Min Kitab Risatul Jami'ah. From the book the Essentials of Islam by Al-Habib Al-Imam Ahmad bin Zain Al-Habshi wa nafa'ana Allahu bihi wa bi'ulumihi fid darain. Right. So the last part where we were at about najasa, right? We were talking about najasa, the last lesson. Right. So where he has said, can't find where I'm supposed to read. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad. Tamam. Mubtilatus salah. ويبطل الصلاة الكلام عمدا ولو بحرفين وناسيا إن كثرا ويبطلها العمل الكثير كثلاث خطوات والأكل والشرب وانكشاف العورة إن لم تستر حالا ووقوع النجاسة إن لم تلقى حالا من غير حمل. Exit invalidated the salat. Exit invalidated the salat. First and foremost, deliberately speaking invalidates the prayer, be it even if it's only 2 letters, as there's a large amount of forgetfulness. Isn't the English all? I think it's a bit off, right? So basically, deliberately speaking invalidates the salat, even if it be only 2 letters, right? 2 letters on purpose. Right, even with twice on purpose, and speaking forgetfully, up to 4 to 6 words. Okay, invalidates the prayer. We spoke about that previously. A large amount of action also invalidates the prayer. For example, 3 substantial movements. Eating, drinking, or a large amount of action also invalidates the prayer. Right? A large amount of action is 3 substantial movements. right? Which is 3 substantial movements: eating, and then you have eating, drinking, exposing parts of the aura, also invert the prayer, the covering immediately, and immediately meaning within tumaknina. And the appearance of najasa if it's not removed immediately without holding it, without carrying it. Okay, and without carrying it. Okay, now, right. So we mentioned all these parts. Last week we were speaking about the different types of najasa. Um, did I finish it? did I leave it halfway, or did I? I think I finished it, right. I don't think I left it halfway. I finished speaking about the okay. Okay, yes, I didn't go through the najasa that is mukhaffafa. Right, so there is mughallaza meaning major, right? Control V. Okay. And then you have mutawassita, right? Meaning middle. Okay. Right. So I will unbold this. Allahumma salli Muhammad. Okay. So severed body parts or entire dead bodies of animals that have not been slaughtered in an Islamic way, and the hair of body parts of inedible animals in Islam, ethanol, specifically the ones brewed for drinking. Right. So yeah, that basically covers all the different najasa that is mutawassita. About body parts of animals, or not just body parts, but actually skin. All right, so skin of animals that was not slaughtered properly, right? This skin can be tanned, right? So if it undergoes a tanning process, then it makes it not najis anymore. Okay, but the skin, it's talking about skin, not other parts of the animal, right? So, like for example, actually, I asked this question before my teachers. You know what? Allahumma salli Muhammad. I need to do a bit more research also on this. The China cups. They're called China. They're not from. I mean, they are from China, I guess. Right, but they're called China. You know, when they say, take out the nice China, right? Meaning they're just like a porcelain kind of thing, right? It's a porcelain cup. If I'm not wrong, it's made of bones of animals. If I'm not wrong, someone asked me before about it. It is China cups are made up of it's made from pig bones. Are they made from pig bones? China. Go and search for. Go and read up. But basically, I have not had time to read up on what China's made from, right? But if it is made from pig bones, then najis lah. Right? You cannot for products that is originally from mughalladha, right? Pigs and dogs, right? You cannot. There's no way of purifying them. Right, whereas to tan skin, right, of skin of animals that was not slaughtered in Islam, then it's possible to make the skin from najasa to pure. The one they can do, and that is part of Islam. That is part of fiqh, whereby you will learn later on in the next books how some things that are najis becomes non-najis. Right, so there are 3 examples basically of these kind of things. The first example is alcohol becoming vinegar. Right, so alcohol left to oxidize, and it becomes vinegar. The vinegar is of course not najis lah. And vinegar is halal for us to consume, but on condition that the alcohol was produced with the intention of making vinegar. That is the condition. The alcohol was produced with the intention of making it into vinegar, right? So things that are alcohol, someone to produce alcohol first, and then they decide to make it into vinegar, or it accidentally becomes vinegar, then that one's not not halal. It's not halal. It has to be vinegar that was produced from alcohol, that was produced with the intention of making vinegar. Yeah lah, the rulings around it lah, and also there are rulings around how the vinegar can be produced, and then there is one of the examples whereby najis can become non-najis. Najis can become non-najis. The other example would be the skin or the hide of animals. the hide of animals, the skin of animals. And this would obviously be speaking about animals that were not slaughtered in Islam, because animals that are slaughtered in Islam, meaning slaughtered properly, in Islam, and they are animals that we can consume, they wouldn't be najis in the first place, right? If I were to slaughter, if I were to slaughter chicken, or I were to slaughter goat, right? They're not najis in the first place. Right, the blood, yes, the blood is najis. I can wash off the blood, right? But the meat itself, the hide itself, the skin itself is not najis, right? I mean, uncooked chicken, skin, if it's for some reason on me and I'm praying, doesn't do anything, right? Because there's no blood, there's nothing. It's not najis, right? But if the chicken skin was not, if the chicken was not slaughtered in an Islamic way, but it's not halal chicken basically, right? Then the entire chicken, whether it's cooked or not cooked, it is najis. And if it's on me while I'm praying, so even if it's chicken, right, but it's not halal chicken, it was not slaughtered in the halal way, right? If it's on me while I'm praying, my prayer is not valid, right? So in Islam, right, that it is possible for people to take the skin of animals that were not slaughtered and then tan it, make it undergo a tanning process, and then now it's not najis to be used anymore. And the reason being, in the past, if they were to find dead animals, right, dead animals in the wild, right? Especially the Bedouins, the Arabs, they are able to somewhat harvest the skin, right? Harvest lah, but basically they're able to cut away the excess, and then they can tan the skin, and the skin is useful for making tents, for making rugs, for making clothing, for making all kinds of things. So there is a way to get the skin to be not najis anymore. Right, so but basically be careful lah. Other things that people are not careful about would be things like ivory. Right? Ivory is from the tusks of elephants or rhino. Is ivory from rhino? Okay, I need to go and do my own research also. What are they from? But if let's say people are giving you stuff from rhino, from elephants, these are non-halal animals, right? So the tusk, of the it's called a tusk. Yeah, it's called a tusk, right? The elephant's tusk. Okay, let's get my husband to affirm. Okay, the ivory. So it's not halal lah. Elephant is not halal. Rhino is not halal. So their body parts are all najis. So if someone were to give you ivory, or they give you the tusk of a rhino, or like there's in where, in Thailand, they sell all these necklaces that have the tooth of a crocodile, right? They have the tooths of crocodile on necklaces. I think even in the Singapore Zoo, they do sell those also, right? The tooth of a crocodile on a necklace. Jam cool lah, or whatever it is lah. Najis, all najis. It's all najis. So if you wore those things and you prayed, it's all not sah your prayer, right? There was a story of Habib Omar. Someone gave him a tongkat and a staff that it was made of ivory, very expensive. When he was in Africa, someone gave it to him, very expensive, stuff made of ivory, and he was on a ship. They were bringing him somewhere, and he basically, while they were on the ship, he took this stuff of ivory, and it's from the elephant's tusk, right? It's najis, and basically you can't buy and sell najis, because there is no value in it. There's no value. So in the fiqh of Islam, you can't actually buy and sell najis. So basically, there's nothing you can do with the elephant tusk, in that way. So he threw it into the ocean. He basically threw it into the ocean because it's najis. You can't do anything with it. So you can't even sell it and get the money back because it can't be sold. It's not valuable in Islam. It's najis. Inshallah. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to the next one. Bold. Okay. Alright. So mukhaffaf. مغلظة متوسطة مخففة Okay, so the مخففة, that would be, I need to make it very clear, because I've heard مخففة. Okay, because I've heard people say all kinds of things about this مخففة one, which is so is so inaccurate. Minor. Inshallah. Okay, basically, it is the very strictly only. Control B. Only the urine, right? Not feces, I've heard people say anything that comes out of a baby boy is not najis. And I've also heard people say anything that comes out of a baby that is less than 2 years old is not najis. So there was somebody, one of my family members. She was like just not cleaning up her child's najis that falls on her clothing. Then I said to her, "You gotta clean it up." And she was like, "No, my mother told me, my auntie told me, my this told me, all kinds of people told her that babies below the age of 2, whatever comes out of them is not najis. No such thing. There's only a very specific ruling. Only the urine, meaning not feces. I spelled it wrongly, never mind. Right, not, yeah, I spelled it wrongly. Okay, not feces of a baby boy. Has to be boy. Okay, so not as any baby, not girl. Right, below the age of 2 Hijri. Okay, so not Gregorian calendar, we're looking at Hijri calendar. Below the age of 2 and only having consumed as nutrition milk. Okay, the mother's milk. There's an opinion by even if it's another animal's milk, it's okay as long as it's milk. Right, only having consumed as nutrition milk. Right, so nothing else. Right, so such a person, right, this is called mukhaffafa najis. Right, so what does this mean? This means that, right, to purify is to, right, just need to, right, simply need to sprinkled in excess water on the spot. Okay, right, whereby the urine fell on. Okay, sprinkled in excess meaning, right, more than that means water is more than najis. Water is more than urine. Okay, see that? Right, so as opposed to if let's say a baby girl, right, were to urinate on my clothing, right? If a baby girl were to urinate on my clothing, the baby girl's urine falls under mutawasita. Okay, it falls under mutawasita immediately. So what do I have to do? I have to go and take off my clothing and wash it. I have to wash off the najis. I have to wash off any trace of the najis because it is mutawasita. You gotta remove the ayn of the najis. You gotta remove the substance of the najis until there is no smell and no color and no taste of the najis on your clothing before you can, if you want to use that clothing for prayer. Whereas if it's a boy under all these conditions, below 2 years old, only having consumed milk as nutrition, right? So meaning that what is not consumed as nutrition is not counted. So like for example, if he had taken some medicine, right? So medicine is not nutrition. Tahnik is sunnah, is not under nutrition. I mean, he's not being nourished, right, by these things that he's consuming, right? So he's only the only thing that's nourishing him is the milk. Alright, so he's not taking anything. In Arabic, it's taghaddi, meaning nutrition lah. Right, so if you had given the boy like a little bit of dates for tahnik, no problem. But if you gave him regularly dates to eat, right, and these dates are for his nutrition, right, then you have already fed him something beyond besides milk. So it can't be counted as as mukhaffafa anymore, right? So all you have to do is that for basically, if this boy were to urinate on top of you, right, all you have to do is that the spots whereby the urine had fallen on, right, is for you to take water and sprinkle on those spots in excess. That means you're gonna the water has to be more than the urine. right? The water has been more than the urine on those spots. Okay, if you ask the question, why is this, why is this that? Right? Why is it like that? No, mashallah. And there's some people, some, some people out there want to say, how come so unfair? How come only for a boy and not for a girl? I mean, if anybody were to do this kind of argument, lah, and there are people out there who will find any issue to show that Islam is biased against women. Whatever, also they'll pull out to show that Islam is biased against women. Mashallah. You see that I was in a meeting about this entire thing lah of the feminism and stuff like that. Just to share lah, and then so she was the person who was presenting. She was saying that these feminists, right? They will always point out that in the past that men will go to school and women will not go to school and women will stay at home, right? And that is all girls will be made to stay at home and not made to go to school. And that's basically biasness against women, and then like not wanting to educate our women. And then she was like, what? Traditionally in Tarim, right, or traditionally in Islamic societies, right, if they could, they would keep all their kids at home and teach their kids at home to prevent their children from being influenced by the influence that's out there, right? But because the men need to earn a livelihood, and they need to get jobs later on, right? They're forced to send their boys. They're actually forced to send their boys to school, right? So that they can actually get some qualification and go and get a job and earn a living. Whereas doesn't mean that just because they don't send the girls to school that the girls remain uneducated. The girls are being educated at home, right? They're basically being homeschooled. The girls. This is traditionally in Islam to protect their girls, right, from not just from people out there, but from outside influences, right? And in fact, they would do it for all of their kids. Had it not been that the boys would have to go and work and get some qualification, that kind of thing, right? Then they were forced to just send their boys to school to go and get some qualification, right? I mean, if you put it in that perspective, you're like, yeah, then it kind of makes sense, right? They're not going against women; they're trying to protect the woman. But then the entire feminist thing will just, twist the whole thing around. Anyway, this thing also, right, they can twist the whole thing and see, so biased. Boys' urine is not najis. It's not that it's not najis, it is najis. But it's mukhaffafa. Okay, it's no one can say, it's a wrong statement to say, oh, the urine of a baby boy below 2 years old who only drank milk is not najis. No, it is najis. It is najis, right? If the boy had urinated on you, and you didn't sprinkle water in excess, and you prayed like that, your prayer not sah. Your prayer is not valid. Right? You have to sprinkle water in excess, right? For you to basically it's called mukhaffafa because the way by which you remove the najis is lighter as compared to mutawassita and mughallaza. Right? So the najasa, they are grouped according to these three groups only because of the way they are removed. Is the way whereby this najasa can be removed. That's all. That's the only difference, right, between all of these najis, but they're all najis. Right? So basically, if you have a boy, the reason, like, this is what I learned. The reason why it's only for a baby boy, not a baby girl, in this situation, right, is because if any of you here have had boys, right, and you have also had girls, right, the thing about boys compared to girls is that boys, their sexual organ can shoot their urine far and wide as compared to girls, right? Girls cannot shoot anything anywhere, right? So girls, their urine stays where it is. If they were to urinate, it just stays there on the diaper. For boys, right, and I know this, whenever I help out with my nephews, right, and I know those who have boys here, you probably notice it also, that when you open up their diaper, there's a possibility of them shooting their urine out, just out, right, and then it will just hit wherever it hits, right? So can you imagine if, let's say, it is mutawassita, and you have to clean this up every single time, right? Every time you open the diaper, the baby shoots out, right? I mean, it's going to be problematic lah, right? So especially in the time of Rasulullah, for the Bedouins, right? They only have one piece of clothing. Most of them, they're poor. And for us, no issue. The boy shoots, you just remove your clothing, wear new clothing, and then you go and pray. Right? I mean, you don't have to think so much about it. People who are poor, this is a big issue, right? Because they only have one piece of clothing, right? And then this boy keeps shooting, keep shooting his urine everywhere, right? So it's more of that. It's actually more because of that. Boys keep shooting their urine when you open up their diaper. Now that makes sense, right? Now it's not a matter of Islam against girls, Islam like girls, Islam is bias against women. Nothing of that. It's just practicality. right? So basically, if this happens, I mean, especially when the boy shoots, right? Sometimes also you don't know where he shoot. Right? You can't even see the droplets. It's so fine. You can't even see where it is. You can see the main part, but you can't see any smaller drops here and there, right? So whatever you can see, you just sprinkle a lot of water there in excess, and then whatever you miss out is called najasa. That is ma'ani, right? Ma'ani meaning you can't tell, you can't actually tell, right, where's in the jasa, right? So there's no smell, there's no color, but you know it's somewhere, right? So you just sprinkle water, right, all over the place, right? That's enough. You don't have to wash the entire clothing, right? But just sprinkle water all over the place. Okay, alhamdulillah, right? So if let me see the questions here. Okay, um, okay, so uh. Yeah, so someone say here that the bone is made from the ash bones of animals, usually cows, right? Is it possible that it speaks? But even cows also, the cows are not slaughtered in a halal way, right? Correct. The for the cows in China, unless they're Muslim, then they will slaughter their cows. Otherwise, I don't think they're slaughtering their cows. Right? I think they're just killing their cows. Tortoise shell also cannot. Tortoise shell is najasa, najis, tortoise. Right, so if someone were to give you like tortoise shells, I don't know, because the tortoise shell is grown on the tortoise, is grown on the tortoise, right? And tortoises are not halal. Okay. Um, yeah. Okay, now let's continue. Bismillah. Right. So if najasa were to fall on the person and you don't remove it, halan, immediately. Right. So if any of this najasa, any of the mughallaza, mutawassita, and mukhaffafa, najasa, right, they would nullify the prayer if they fell onto a person and you don't remove it immediately. And go to the next one. ويبطلها سبق الإمام بركنين فعليين وكذا تخلف بهما بغير عذر ولا تصح الصلاة خلف كافر وامرأة وخنثى. Okay, نعم. Okay, so here اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد. Did I go through this? I'm going through this. Okay, let me just go through this part. So here, I think I went through before in Zakira Musharafa, right? So here, I can't remember where I stopped. Alright, if a worshipper to go ahead of the Imam by two integral elements, and likewise he falls behind the Imam by two integral elements without legitimate reason, his prayer is also invalid. Yeah, I went through this one about when it is. They go through when it is valid for you to fall behind the Imam. Going ahead of the Imam, there's no excuse why you should be going ahead of the Imam, right? Unless you made a mistake, and then you like for example, you thought the Imam ruku'. Right, but actually the Imam sujud tilawah, right? And then you realize that the Imam actually sujud tilawah and not ruku', right? And then you're in ruku', right? That kind of thing lah. So you're kind of ahead. You are ahead of the Imam in ruku' because you have performed your ruku' and the Imam has not performed his ruku', right? So all you do is that if you were to realize that you ruku' and then the Imam actually sujud for tilawah, right? Because he recited part of the Quran and he went into sujud, then when he gets up, he will say Allahu Akbar. He won't say Sami Allahu liman hamida. So that is your cue that you made a mistake, right? So as a woman also, we don't see the Imam, right? So we might do this mistake. So if the Imam Allahu Akbar and gets up standing and you're already in the ruku', right? You stay where you are. You don't do anything. Just stay where you are. Stay in ruku'. Wait for the Imam to come back down into ruku'. Right? So because you already niyat ruku' and you already go into ruku', you are in ruku'. Right? So you getting up after ruku' puts you into i'tidal. Right? You go into i'tidal. Right? So you don't get up, you stay there. You stay there in ruku'. Right? Of course, there are many people who don't know this, right? And when they realize that they made a mistake, they just go back up and they continue standing. Right? But actually they have done their ruku'. If they get back up, they are in i'tidal. right? So you need to just stay where you are. That's one of the reasons how a person can go ahead of the imam accidentally. Another reason how a person can go ahead of the imam accidentally is that that they forgot that they are on the second rakaat, and the imam, from sujud, Allahu Akbar, gets up, sits for the tahiyah, the first tahiyah. So this person forgets they're on the second rakaat, and she, usually woman lah, because men you can see the imam and you can copy the imam. Right? For women, this is when we make our mistakes, right? So a person could very well from sujud get up to standing, forgetting that it's the second rakaat and the imam is actually doing tahiyah. Right, so she gets to standing, right, and then she's actually ahead of the imam because she skipped her entire tahiyah, right? She's ahead of the imam. So after the imam of tahiyah, the imam Allahu Akbar gets up to standing, which she might go down to ruku' if she's completely unaware. Like for example, in the masjid, you're the only person in the women's area. For example, there's nobody else in the women's area. It's just you. Or maybe all of you in the women's area do the same mistake, or everybody copy everybody, right? So then the only time you actually figure out that you are mistaken, right, is when the imam does not say Sami Allahu liman hamidah, right? So for example, so the imam is so you're in sujud with the imam, both of you are in sujud, right? And then the imam says Allahu Akbar. Can you imagine that the imam sits, right, for tahiyah? What do? You're not paying attention. You stand up for the next rakaat, right? You stand up. Okay, then after the imam finishes tahiyah, he goes Allahu Akbar. He stands. You have no clue that you are actually in the wrong position, right? So you ruku', right? So you ruku' thinking that it's time to ruku', and then when the imam wants to ruku', he says Allahu Akbar, and then you're like, you're already in the ruku', right? So if you realize your mistake at this point, just stay in ruku'. Don't move. Stay in ruku'. Then when the imam says Sami Allahu liman hamidah, right, then you get up with the imam. Okay? Right, so that is so don't which is why in Islam, right, they place two rukuns. Because in case there's a mistake that is made. So the one rukun is forgiven. Right, it does not nullify your prayer. But if you were ahead from the imam by two rukuns, and that one is too much lah to be a mistake. It's too much to be a mistake. One rukun is possible that it was done mistakenly. If someone on purpose keeps going ahead of the imam, or keeps doing in synchronized or in sync, keeps going in sync with the imam, right? It does not nullify their prayer, but it will nullify the reward of jama'ah. Okay, the one who goes ahead of the imam, right, by one rukun, the one who moves together at the same time, at the same time as the imam, or moves ahead of the imam by one rukun, right? Prayer is not nullified, but reward of jama'ah is nullified. So they don't get the times 27 reward for jama'ah because they did something that is makruh. Right, so if you do something that is makruh in your jama'ah, it cancels out the reward of the jama'ah. Okay, I put that as a qa'idah. Right, doing something makruh in jama'ah, in jama'ah laws, in jama'ah, cancels out the reward of jama'ah. Right, so for example, praying alone in one saf, right? Praying alone in one saf, right? If there is a possibility of having someone else with you. Okay, what does this mean? Right, so basically you come to jama'ah, and you see that the saf in front of you is filled up, right? So the saf in front of you is filled up. There's no way you can fit in the saf in front of you. So you form your own saf behind. Okay, another note, whenever you form a new saf, form the saf immediately behind the imam. That means no matter how far you are behind the imam, right? But no matter how far you are behind the imam, right, you are to be in line with the imam. That's how you form your saf. Right? So it's a big mistake, especially amongst the women's side. We see it amongst the women's side. We teach our women, eh? Right. So basically, if imam is here, let me draw imam. Okay, imam is here, kan? Okay, so male imam, eh? Okay, then you have a staff of men, for example. Okay, staff of men, staff of men. Then you have a staff of women. For example, at home lah, at home. Right, this the imam is right in front. Then you have like all your brothers and your uncles and so on. They form a staff there. Right, and the staff of women, maybe all your cousins, a lot of women coming in. So this is you, right? So you come in, right, and then you want to form a staff. Okay, some people they form a saf at the corner. They form a saf here or they form a saf here. This is wrong. Okay, you don't form safs there. Right, you form saf in the middle here. Alright, so to form a saf in the middle behind the imam. Okay, so if let's say, so even if it's a woman imam, let's say there's no man in the room, but there's a woman imam, right? So again, if the first saf is filled up, don't form a new saf unless the previous saf is filled up. So the first saf is filled up, right? You come in and then you find there's no space for you, right? So you're gonna form a saf. So what are you gonna do? Right? Praying alone in one saf is makruh, right? If you can help it lah. What I mean by you can help it, meaning there are other women there. Like for example, if you're the only woman in the entire house, right? So you're at home, you have one father, you have one husband, and you have only sons. There are no daughters at all, right? You're the only woman in the house. So of course it's not possible for you to form a saf with somebody else. So there's no makro there. There is no makro there because it's not possible lah for you to have a saf with somebody else, right? But if there are women in the house, or like you see there here, you have entire saf of women. What should you do? You enter the jama'ah, right? You need to come into prayer first. That means takbir first, right? Takbiratul ihram. You need to do takbiratul ihram first in your own saf. So you come in, you look at the entire saf, impossible to fit myself in there. So you go to the center of the saf, right? And you Allahu Akbar. Takbiratul ihram. Okay, this is if you're very sure there's nobody coming in. If you know that you saw someone taking wudu as well as with you, and she's gonna come in, then you wait for her lah. Then you takbir together into a saf, right? But if you know there's nobody, if you're not so sure if anybody's gonna come in, right? So you takbir first. Then you know what you do? You step forward, and then you put your hand on the shoulder of the person here. You put hand on her shoulder, and you pull her back to join you. Okay, so inshallah she knows what's going on lah, the person that's here. You put your shoulder you put your hand on her. You take one step forward. You must be in prayer. You are in prayer. You're not in prayer. You are in prayer. You take a step forward. You put your hand on her shoulder and you pull her gently. Okay, gently you pull her back for her to stand next to you. Alright, and then the people in the staff in front, they will move in. Right, they will move in to fill up the space. So then you form a saf behind, and you have avoided the makruh of praying alone in a saf. You have avoided the makruh, so that you get the pahala of jama'ah. If she knows what to do lah, hopefully she knows what to do, and you pull her back right into there. You cannot pull her before you take your ihram. You cannot pull her before you do your takbir, because you can't pull a person from saf to non-saf. You can only pull them from saf to saf. Right, so and how is it a saf? Is if it's only if you have begun praying. If you've not begun praying, there's no saf there. You have to begin praying for there to be saf. I hope you understand, Right, so same thing also. If somebody comes into this situation, right, and they see a person praying alone or two people praying, then you move to the left, right, and then you fill up left, right, like that. This is how you fill up a saf, left, right, as far as you can lah. If you can do like a quick judgment on which part is longer. Then you go to the part that is shorter. Right? So don't just fill up here and here is all empty. Or some people, I've seen people come to the masjid, the saf began in the center, and they come to the side and they pray. Right? And then there's a huge gap between them and the other people in the saf. Right? So these are all makro. And if you do that, then you lose the fadilah of jama'ah. Right? The reward of jama'ah is not there. right? So it just be very careful about it. Okay, so so if they were to go ahead of the imam by 2 rukuns, right, there is the prayer is not nullified, but the work of jama'ah is nullified. If they were to fall behind the imam by 2 rukuns, as I mentioned before, kan, I think I went through all this before, but I didn't write it down. Right, so just to do the notes lah. Right, so if they were to lag behind the imam by 2 rukuns without a good reason, right, then the prayer is invalid. Right, so what is a so what is a valid reason? Right, valid reason, right, for lagging. Okay, I can't think of a valid reason for going ahead of the imam. I can't think at all of a valid reason for going ahead of the imam, unless like maybe I don't know, maybe you the imam is holding the ruku' too long, and then you're getting dizzy, you're not well, right? You're getting dizzy, the ruku' being too long, held there too long, then so you i'tidal first. Possible, you can do that, right? Because you feel like it's holding your head in that position is too much on your. I know when you have like really severe flu, the pressure of the mucus on your forehead is very is quite heavy, right? It happens to me whenever I have bad flu. Ruku' and sujud becomes very painful, because of the pressure of the mucus at the front of your head. So usually I cannot hold ruku' and sujud for so long. I need to get up quickly. After performing it for tumanina, I will get up. Right. So if let's say it happens to a person, you're praying with imam, the imam is holding the ruku', he's holding the sujud for very long, and you cannot take it, right, because of your medical conditions, then that is a valid reason lah. Right. So you get up first before the imam, and then you hold the next position until the imam gets there. Right, so that if you're in ruku', the imam is holding too long, you cannot handle it, you get back up into i'tidal, and then you wait for the imam at i'tidal. Right, or if the imam is sujud and it's too long, you can't handle it, then you get back up into sitting down position, and you wait for the imam. Right, that's possible. So that there is this entire thing of two integrals, because it's the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the mercy of Islam, that is possible people need to actually go ahead, right, or they need to lag behind, right, from the imam. Or last situation is that like if you are doing attahiyah, right, you're doing attahiyah, and the imam is taking a long time doing his attahiyah, and you really have to go to the bathroom, for example. The imam is taking a very long time to do his attahiyah. So if you have done what is wajib, for you, right, you can actually literally at that point you can intend to break off from the imam and do your salams and go to the bathroom if you need to go to the bathroom. So you don't have to actually, like, if I cannot wait. If I wait, I'll battle my prayer already. My prayer will be nullified, right? Gas will come out, whatsoever. So you're like, I cannot wait a second longer, right? For this imam to finish his attahiyah. It's taking so long. So you just niat mufaraqah. You niat to break away from the imam, and then you do your salams and you leave the prayer, right? Ahead of the imam lah. That is possible. Okay, very reasons for lagging is Fatiha, right? You read Fatiha too slowly, or imam was way too fast. Okay, right? Or unable to focus as imam reads, to focus on Fatiha as imam reads a surah. These are all the valid reasons for lagging, right? Yeah, right. So there is no other reason in the prayer why you should be lagging behind the imam. There's no other reason why you should be lagging, right? Even if you've not finished your zikr, your du'as during your prayers, and the imam already moved, you are to follow the imam, right? It is not virtuous for you to maintain the sujud or to maintain the ruku' when the imam already moved. Right? The moment the imam has already moved, you are to move straight away. So when the imam, so you're in sujud, I seen people do this lah. Like you're in sujud, and then the imam Allahu Akbar gets up sitting down. There are people who will hold the sujud, right? You don't hold the sujud if you are in jama'ah. If you're in jama'ah, there's not a time for you to hold the sujud. When you're praying alone, sunnah prayers, and hold it as long as you want. Right? But when you're praying jama'ah, what is afdal? Like what is better is for you to immediately follow the imam when he moves. Right? So at the point when the imam has finished moving, then you start to move, and you don't actually hold the position. Right? So there's usually no reason why someone should be lagging, unless it is for the Fatiha. Right? For the sake of the Fatiha, because Fatiha is wajib. Beyond that, all the rukun qawli, the rukun of the of recitation, is the first takbir. There is wajib. It's a very short while. Then you have Fatiha. Right, it takes a bit of longer time. Then you have the final at-tahiyya. So the final at-tahiyya, even if you really lag behind the imam, there's no problem, because it's only one more rukun for the prayer to end, the salams. Right, this is one more rukun for the prayer to end. So the only issue that can cause you to lag is Fatiha. Right, so and this happens to quite a number of people. Right, so if let's say you are too slow, or the imam is way too fast, or you're unable to focus on Fatiha as imam reads a surah, which is why there's a sunnah of for the imam, after he finishes his Fatiha, to allow for a gap, between the Fatiha and the surah, right? For the ma'mum to do their Fatiha. Okay, and this is and all this is for the case of the person who is not masbuq. Right? What is the meaning of masbuq? Right? So the masbuq. Right? So the masbuq is the person who joins the jama'ah. Right? The person who joins the jama'ah before the imam completes ruku' and was unable to, and did not have enough time to perform it, to recite Fatiha. Did not have enough time to recite Fatiha, hence the imam carries their Fatiha. Let me just explain this. Okay, later on I'll go into the story of the masbuq, right? But I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this one first. The one here. I'll do this first. Okay. Then I'll go into the masbuq. Sorry. Okay. So basically, the one who's not a masbuq, meaning, right? Was there long enough? Was standing in prayer long enough for Fatiha. That is not a masbuq. Right? You are not a masbuq if you had stood in prayer long enough for Fatiha. Right? So even if you were not there when the imam did the takbir. Right? So for example, if for example, Tarawih prayers. Okay, Tarawih prayers, I know they will read very long. Right? They will read the entire juz. So it's like I do my wudu, I heard the imam begin the prayer. Okay, I come to the jama'ah, the imam just finished Fatiha, he's beginning Surah Baqarah, for example. Right? So I enter the prayer. I have more than enough time to finish my Fatiha. Right? That means I'm not masbuq. I am carrying my own Fatiha. Right? I'm doing my own Fatiha. Right? So I'm not masbuq. Right? Masbuq is basically the imam carries your Fatiha. That is the definition of masbuq. So I do my own Fatiha. So never mind lah. I'm not masbuq. Okay. So the one who is not masbuq means he should be having standing in prayer long enough for Fatiha. Right, or right, if the imam was too fast, right, then this person was there from before the imam finished his Fatiha, or at the point of the imam finished Fatiha. I'm not confusing anybody, right? Or for loud prayers, for loud prayers, or from takbir, right, for silent prayers. Okay, basically the rule of thumb is that the person was supposed to have been able to do Fatiha. Right, the person was supposed to have been able to do Fatiha. So whether it's loud or short or silent prayers, so basically you were there. So for example, I came into the prayer, the Imam just takbir, and I came in. Right, it was Zohar or Asar prayer, silent prayer. So by right, I should be able to do Fatiha. By right, I was doing my Fatiha halfway, the Imam does the ruku. Right, so this Imam is doing his Fatiha super fast. Right, so for me, what do? I must finish up my Fatiha. Okay, right, I must finish up my Fatiha. Meaning, sorry, I will keep putting in stuff. Right, meaning, right, she must finish the Fatiha. Right, because okay, not masbuk. Because if she is masbuk, she does not have to finish the Fatiha. She can just ruku' with the Imam. That's why it's a situation where you need to know, are you masbuk or are you not masbuk? Right, you must know. Right? If you're not masbuk, you must finish Fatiha. Right? If you are masbuk, you don't have to finish Fatiha. You can ruku' with the Imam straight away. Okay, so when are you not masbuk? You are not masbuk if, first and foremost, you were standing in the prayer long enough for Fatiha. Okay, right, so like I mentioned, like about Tarawih prayers. So you might not be there from the beginning of the prayer. You came in halfway through, right? But the Imam is reading a long surah, right? So it's more than enough for you to finish Fatiha. Imam, if you were there from before the Imam finished Fatiha, right? So this person was there, right, from before the Imam finished Fatiha. So for example, for a short prayer, right, you came into, like, for example, Maghrib or Isha prayer, right, you came in the prayer, the Imam was still doing Fatiha. So when you Allahu Akbar, the Imam is going walal dallin, Ameen. So technically, you are in the same position as the person who was there from the beginning, because none of you have begun Fatiha. Right, Fatiha only begins when the Imam has finished his Fatiha. Right, so technically you're at the same position as the person who was there before the Fatiha ended. Right, so now with the Imam finishing his Fatiha, you begin your Fatiha, and by right you're supposed to be able to finish your Fatiha. Okay, for silent prayers, it's from a takbir. Right, so for silent prayers, you read Fatiha the moment the Imam has done the takbir, right? Or you have done the takbir. So the Imam goes Allahu Akbar, you go Allahu Akbar, you begin your Fatiha. Okay. Question: can someone, if you're gonna pray for an Imam, and it's a silent prayer, can you do your dua iftitah if you know the Imam's going to be very fast? Right, so for example, you pray behind your son, you pray behind your brother, and they will not do dua iftitah. They will not. Right, you pray them so many times, they will just go into Fatiha. They might not even read a surah after Fatiha and they ruku already. Right, and then you're like, every single time I pray Jama'ah with my brother or my son, he will not do the dua iftitah, and I keep having to miss my dua iftitah. You don't actually have to miss the dua iftitah. If you join the Imam with at the takbir, right, you can do all the sunnahs. Right, and so what if I lag behind? It's okay. It is a valid reason, right? Because by right it's a silent prayer. You can do all. You didn't come in late. You were there from the beginning, from the takbir itself. You can do your dua iftitah. You can do your ta'awuz, and you can do your Fatiha. If the Imam is too fast, all of what you did is all counted as udhr. It is all valid reasons why you're lagging. Right, because the Imam is under the Imam is way too fast, and the Imam neglected the sunnahs. The Imam neglected the sunnahs. So basically, you are counted as not masbuk. You must finish your Fatiha. Okay, for this reason, right? So why are you lagging? Either you were too slow, because you are new to Islam, for example, so you're doing your Fatihas too slowly, right? Or usually the situation is that the Imam is way too fast. Right, usually there's a situation. If you're unable to focus on Fatiha as the Imam reads a surah, then what I would advise you to do, and you know that this Imam will never give you a gap between the Fatiha and the surah, what I would advise you to do is to read Fatiha while the Imam is reading Fatiha. Right, that is the easiest thing for you to do if you're unable to focus. Can you do that? Yes, you can. It's makruh. But you can do that. Right, so you can read Fatiha together when the Imam is doing Fatiha if you really cannot focus when the Imam is doing a surah. Like you try so hard to do a Fatiha while the Imam doing surah, you cannot focus. You end up doing a Fatiha after the Imam finishes surah. Right, so if there's a situation for you, then especially for those who are new to Islam, like converts, right, just came into Islam, for them, if they want to read together with the Imam, then read. Right, it does not nullify their prayer. It is makruh, but doesn't nullify their prayer. And in fact, in this situation, they have a reason why they have to do it. Right, so read together with the Imam if you really cannot do it after the Imam. Right, for a person. So in this case, this person, she must finish the Fatiha. Right, and she is given. Let me see. And she is given up to 3 long rukuns to catch up with the Imam. Right, 3 long rukuns will be what? Ruku' is long, first sujud, second sujud. Okay, this is called 3 long rukuns. So which means that she needs to move into ruku' before the Imam lifts his head from the second sujood. Now I remember, I think I went through all this before. Right, but then I'm not sure if it's this class or another class. Right, but basically, yeah. Okay, so 3 long rukuns. For the masbuq, right, for the, now end the class there. For the masbuq is a person who joins the jama'ah before the Imam completes ruku'. Right, so basically, and you don't have enough time to do Fatiha since the Imam carries the Fatiha. Okay, so if he joins, meaning here, so if he joins, right, while Imam is standing, okay, right, and he joins while Imam is standing and does not know when the Imam will ruku'. Okay, right, so you come, for example, if it's a silent prayer, you come to the salat, you can't hear what the Imam is reading, you don't know where the Imam is at, you need to recite Surah Fatiha straight away. Don't spend time doing any sunnahs. If you come to a loud prayer, right, and the Imam is reading a surah, and you can tell that it's going to end soon, right, so the Imam begin Qul huwallahu ahad, okay lah, it's going to end very soon. Or maybe he's doing a longer surah, but he might cut the surah halfway and then the ruku'. Right, so basically you don't know when the Imam will ruku'. Right, so what do you have to do? Right, you must be straight away, right, begin reciting Surah Fatiha. You must straight away begin reciting Surah Fatiha. Right, and if the Imam ruku', right, you stop the Fatiha wherever you're at and ruku' with Imam. Right, Imam carries your Fatiha. Okay. Okay, if you spend time doing a sunnah, right, for example, dua iftitah or ta'awuz. Ta'awuz is a'udzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Ta'awuz. Right, then you need to recite enough of Fatiha. Then when the Imam ruku', then when the Imam ruku', you need to recite a bit more. You need to write extra. You need to continue reciting afwan. You need to continue reciting enough of Fatiha, right, to cover up or to make up for the time you had spent doing sunnah recitation. Okay, so you enter the prayer, right, you say A'udzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, sunnah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Okay, at that point, Imam Allahu Akbar, ruku'. Okay, what do you have to do? Read one more ayat. Okay, because the ta'awuz is equals to one ayat. Right, so you say Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin. Okay, dah. Then you ruku'. Okay, if let's say you came into prayer, you went, and you said, when you came into the prayer, you are masbuq, you are masbuq, and you went Allahu Akbar kabira walhamdulillahi kathira wa subhanallahi bukrata wa asila, and you continue reading your dua iftitah, and then by the time you finish the dua iftitah, you do A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. So you go Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin, and then the Imam ruku'. What must you do right now? You must finish your Fatiha. You must finish your Fatiha, and you're only given up till the Imam ruku'. It's not even two rukuns. You need to get the Imam in ruku' because you are a masbuk. You must get the Imam in ruku' for tumatnina. Right? So because you had spent time reading sunnahs, then when you came to Fatiha, you spend the entire time, you finish the entire dua iftitah. If you had finished the entire dua iftitah, that means you could have finished Fatiha. You could have finished Fatiha. Right? But you were so busy doing dua iftitah. So which means you must finish Fatiha, and then you must get the Imam for tumatnina in ruku'. If you don't get the Imam for tumatnina in ruku', that means you did not get the raka'at, and you must make up the raka'at at the end of the prayer. Okay? Right? So then must get Imam for in ruku'. Right, for tumatnina. For level of tumatnina. Okay, otherwise rakaat not counted. Okay, that means you're just gonna do it one more rakaat after the entire prayer. Is you like someone who entered the prayer after ruku'. Okay, you're like someone who entered the prayer after ruku'. Alright. Let me see. I'm gonna end there. Inshallah next lesson I'll do a bit more. Imam takbir intiqal was short. Thought it was tahiyatul awal. Imam went to the fourth rak'ah, or Ma'mum was yesterday to recover. It's okay. So basically, if the question is that second rak'ah, Imam got up and didn't do the atahiyah, right? Ma'mum did atahiyah. Ma'mum didn't realize that the Imam skipped the atahiyah. Ma'mum thought the Imam was in tahiyah. Then when the Imam takbir, you get up to standing, kan? So you read Surah Fatiha while the Imam is in ruku', right? And then after that, so you read Surah Fatiha while the Imam is in ruku'. Then when the Imam Sami Allahu liman hamida, then you realize you're actually in the wrong position. The Sami Allahu hamida tells you where you're at, right? So you ruku' quickly, tumatnina ruku', and then you Sami Allahu hamida with the Imam, right? There is no sujud sahwi there because you did not add a rukun. There is no rukun added. Right, if you had added a rukun unknowingly, then that would be sujud sahwi lah. But it's not an added rukun. It is a rukun, right? It's a sunnah that you did, right? There's no sujud sahwi. Okay, alright. Okay, I'll stop there for today. Wassallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wasallam. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Al-Fatiha. And Allah rizqana manafi'an وعملا خالصا مستعنا الهدى ويسر به قبل النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم وإلى أرواح معالمنا مشايخنا وزوي الفقه علينا وإلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم الفاتحة.